Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about fluoride. This video is kind of going to be a little bit different because I kind of want to take you guys on a little bit of a journey. So we're going to start with this picture right here. So have you guys ever looked on the back of a toothpaste tube, maybe like a Crest or a Colgate? This is what it says here. This is what the back of the tube says. It says, directions for use. Adults and children 2 years of age and older. Brush teeth thoroughly after meals or at least twice a day or use as directed by a dentist. Do not swallow. And it says to minimize swallowing, use a pea-sized amount in children under 6. Supervise children's brushing until good habits are established. And then up here, the warnings, it says keep out of reach of children under 6 years of age. If more than used for brushing is accidentally swallowed, get medical help or contact a poison control center right away. So that makes me scratch my head. Like, why, if I accidentally swallow just a pea sized amount, like literally, this is a pea sized amount. That's very, very small. So if I swallow just this small amount, I need to contact a poison control center right away. So that makes me wonder. Um, on my journey into studying fluoride and its effects on the human body, come across some pretty crazy things. So I kind of want to share it with you guys, and we can at the end we'll talk about some alternatives to fluoride based products such as toothpaste and fluoride in the water. Some things that you can do to kind of avoid that. Okay, so let's start in the early part of the 1900s. I think this article discusses some events that took place in 1924 and also in the 1940s. So the name of this article is Nazi Connections to Fluoride in America's Drinking Water. Um, Now, this is a quote from EPA scientist in 1992. He says, fluoridation is the greatest case of scientific fraud of this century. And this guy is a doctor. He has a PhD. And Adolf Hitler himself also said, tell a lie loud enough and long enough and people will believe it. And that is so true. So I just kind of want to read a little bit here. I'm not going to read all of this, but I just want to touch on some key points in this article. Just a quick history. It says the history of forcing fluoride on humans through the fluoridation of drinking water is wrought with lies, greed, and deception. Governments that add fluoride to drinking water supplies insist that it is safe, beneficial, and necessary. However, scientific evidence shows that fluoride is not safe to ingest, and areas that fluoridate their drinking water supplies have higher rates of cavities, cancer, dental fluorosis, osteoporosis, and other health problems. And there's also a correlation with these cavities, cancer, dental fluorosis. That's been on the increase in the past decades. Because of the push from the aluminum industry, pharmaceutical companies, and weapons manufacturers, fluoride continues to be added to water supplies all over North America. And due to recent legal actions against water companies that fluoridate drinking water supplies, precedent has been set that will make it impossible for suits to be filed against water suppliers that fluoridate. So even if you can demonstrate that there was a correlation between the fluoride and some sort of harmful effect on the body within yourself or your children, you will not be able to sue them and gather any monetary gains from that. So I'm going to come down a little bit. The lies of the benefits of water fluoridation will continue to be fed to the public, not to encourage health benefits to a large number of people, but to profit the military industrial complex. So, going to 1924, it says this story of them fluoridating the water began in 1924 when Interessen Gemeinscheit, I know I butchered that name, but G Farben, let's say that, G Farben, a German chemical manufacturing company, began receiving loans from American bankers, gradually leading to the creation of the huge IG Farben cartel. In 1928, Henry Ford and American Standard Oil Company, the Rockefellers, merged their assets with IG Farben, and by the early 30s, there were more than 100 American corporations, which had subsidiaries and cooperative understandings in Germany. So I'm going to skip down here. It says, President of Standard Oil New York, Paul Warburg, Chairman of the Federal Reserve, and brother of Max Warburg, financier of Germany's war effort, Hermann Metz, a director of the Bank of Manhattan, controlled by the Warburgs, and a number of other members, 3 of which were tried and convicted as German war criminals for their crimes against humanity. Remember that. Keep this in the back of your head. German war criminals for their crimes against humanity. These were the Nazis. In 1939, under the Alted Agreement, the American Aluminum Company, then the world's largest producer of sodium fluoride, and the Dow Chemical Company transferred its technology to Germany. I was on to say that these groups and individuals created a powerful lobby group accurately dubbed the Fluoride Mafia. A little bit more. It says at the end of World War II, which is about 1940, mid 1940s, the U.S. government sent Charles Eliot Perkins, a research worker in chemistry, biochemistry, physiology, and pathology, to take charge of the vast Farben chemical plants in Germany. The German chemists told Perkins of a scheme which they had devised during the war and had been adapted by the German General Staff. The German chemists explained of their attempts to control the population in any given area through the mass medication of drinking water with sodium fluoride, a tactic used in German and Russian prisoner of war camps to make the prisoners stupid and docile. Farben had developed plans during the war to fluoridate the occupied countries because it was found that fluoridation caused slight damage to a specific part of the brain, making it more difficult for the person affected to defend his freedom and causing the individual to become more docile towards authority. Fluoride remains one of the strongest antipsychotic substances known and is contained in 25% of the major tranquilizers. As stated in the Rockefeller Report, a presidential briefing on CIA activities, the drug program was part of a much larger CIA program to study possible means of controlling human behavior. Okay, so also keep that in the back of your mind. The CIA has something to do with this. So let's go on over to the CIA's website. So you can go on the CIA website, cia.gov, and you can look this up yourself. This is not some conspiracy or like secretive information. What they do is when they engage in these like operations and secret missions and intelligence gathering operations, they don't immediately release the information, but they will declassify some information later on, years later. Usually it's decades later. So I believe this report was released in 2011, and this is just kind of like a summary of this operation. It's called Operation Paperclip, and it says that as World War II ended, the race was on with the Soviet Union to seize as many German scientists as possible in anticipation of the Cold War. So basically, Russia and the United States, they knew that there were all these German scientists who, I mean, as evil as they were very smart and they knew how to use different chemicals and they had different ways of getting results. So they both were just basically trying to get as many of the sciences as they could and bring them to their side so that they could both engage in biological and chemical warfare against each other. So it says that one of the German scientists, Schrader, tells the story of inventing tabin, a nerve agent named after the English word taboo. The Germans called it 991, and after their defeat at Stalingrad seriously considered using it on the Russians. Henry Wallace, former vice president and secretary of commerce, believed that the scientists' ideas could launch new civilian industries and produce jobs. Indeed, German scientists developed synthetic rubber and some other things. It says less well known is that another 120 German scientists, engineers, and technicians it goes on to, I'll skip that part. It goes on to talk about some other inventions that they did and things that they developed. It talks about German biologist Dr. Kurt Bloom was hired to develop offensive and defensive capabilities to counter Soviet biological warfare activities. Biological warfare is chemicals and different live agents that they use and stuff like that. It says the CIA created the Office of Scientific Intelligence. Its first director, Dr. Willard Mackley, traveled to Germany to set up a special program to interrogate Soviet spies. It says the CIA believed that the Russians had developed mind control programs and wanted to know how U.S. spies would hold up against this capability if caught. Thus, Operation Bluebird was born. Bluebird, later called MK Ultra, was a research activity experimenting in behavioral engineering of humans. Remember, they said that in the previous article, it stated that they use fluoride to control human behavior because the fluoride attaches to a specific part of the brain, right? So it says during this program, Dr. Frank Olson, the U.S. Army biological weapons researcher, was given the drug LSD without his knowledge, leading to his death by leaping from a building. And then we see today that there's so many instances of mental health, so, that's kind of sketchy a little bit. In case you're still not convinced, here is a study from Harvard that was published from Harvard, and it's called Developmental Fluoride Neurotoxicity, a Systematic Review and Meta-Analysis. And this article, which is peer-reviewed, it talks about the effects of fluoride. And this, I'm going to skip this. I just wanted to show you guys that this article, the name of this article, but this article right here, published by Harvard, just kind of gives you a summary, so we don't have to read through that whole article. So basically, it says high levels of fluoride are known to cause neurotoxicity in adults, and negative impacts on memory and learning have been reported in rodent studies, but little is known about the substance's impact on children's neurodevelopment. Because prior to this, they had not actually done any studies on the correlation between fluoride and humans. So in a meta-analysis, researchers from Harvard and China Medical University for the first time combined 27 studies and found strong indications that fluoride may adversely affect cognitive development in children. Based on the findings, their authors say that this risk should not be ignored and that more research on fluoride's impact on the developing brain is warranted. It talks about how children who lived in high fluoride areas had significantly lower IQ scores than those who lived in low fluoride areas. Here are more studies that talks about the toxicity of fluoride. You see that it says that it's acute oral toxicity, acute inhalation toxicity, changes in bone, corrosivity of the mucous membranes, coughing, shock, pulmonary edema, fluorosis, coma, and death. This is the chronic effects on humans, so this is long-term use of fluoride. So you can go and study yourself. There's so many studies and different scientific articles available today that demonstrate the detrimental effects of fluoride. So it's not all dark and grim. So what are some things that you can do? Some things that you can use instead of using toothpaste that contains fluoride. You can use natural toothpaste. There's so many natural toothpaste out there that don't have fluoride in it. You can use a tooth powder that has bentonite clay and activated charcoal, clove powder, essential oils, things like that that will clean your teeth. One of the main things that they push of why fluoride is so beneficial in toothpaste specifically is that it remineralizes the teeth. But you don't need fluoride to remineralize your teeth. You can use bentonite clay, which has calcium in it, calcium bentonite clay. There's other things that you can use to remineralize your teeth. We actually have a tooth powder on our website. I'll leave the link below, and you can order that if you want, or you can just go to the store, go to Whole Foods, Turnip Truck, Kroger. They have toothpaste and tooth powders that are free of fluoride. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, share it with a friend, a family member, because we definitely need to get this information out about fluoride and the fact that you don't have to use, that type of toothpaste. There's so many alternatives. Also, tap water has a lot of fluoride in it. So if you're drinking water from the tap, make sure that you have a filter on it. Or if you want to just skip that altogether, you can go purchase alkaline water or spring water, purified water, things that have been filtered through. Now, sometimes you still will get the fluoride in there, but it won't be in as high of a concentration if you didn't use a filter. All right. So y'all have a blessed day. Bye, guys.